This is Doug Wead with a little family history. Roy and Rosa Mae Wead, my parents, parents to Jim, Bill, Tim, met at Central Bible Institute, Springfield, Missouri, married in Oklahoma City, and moved to Ohio, where Roy pastored his first church. Roy Wead was born in Fort Rice, North Dakota. He had a brother named Lloyd, called Buster, and 4 sisters who loved to baby him. The winters were long and cold, but the summers were glorious. His mother, Dorothy Cadell Wead, was the daughter of an Indian War hero who fought with General Custer. His father, a store owner. The Weads were the first in town to own a Model T. Rosa Mae was born to a preacher in Oklahoma City, but her father, the Reverend Earl Short, walked out on the family, leaving Willa and Rosa to fend for themselves. It would leave deep scars. Willa turned to her parents for help, James K. Armstrong and Annie Boren Armstrong, a distinguished family of bankers and publishers with roots in Alabama. Rosa Mae lived alone for months at a time with her grandmother, Annie Boren Armstrong. She would be the great-grandmother of an Oklahoma governor and a U.S. senator. The Armstrong drugstore was just next door to the house where Rosa Mae grew up. Willa Short took her pain to the pulpit, preaching in Methodist and Pentecostal churches from Boston to Los Angeles. When no auditorium could hold the crowds, the sponsoring churches would throw down sawdust and pitch a tent. By the mid-1920s, her arrival in the town was front-page news. The San Antonio Light greeted her with a full-length picture and reprinted entire sermons each day. In Los Angeles, she graced the pulpit of host pastor Amy Semple McPherson. In an age when people seldom ventured beyond the borders of their own town, Willa J. Short bought a new Pontiac every year and put close to 100,000 miles on it. She traveled by train and even by plane, which at the time was a novelty. When she was old enough, Rosa Mae joined her mother playing the accordion and helping to direct citywide choirs that numbered into the hundreds. So the young bride that Roy Wead took back to Ohio was used to the limelight. In 1941, they moved to Cuyahoga Falls, Ohio, where Roy pastored and Rosa Mae directed the music. They would stay for 3 years. And it was there on August the 29th, 1941, at 6:56 p.m., Akron City Hospital, that Rosa Mae Wead gave birth to her first child. Roy had wanted a boy. Rosa had wanted a girl. He was James Kenneth Wead, named after Roy's father and Rosa Mae's grandfather. He was 7 pounds 4 ounces, and from the very beginning he was a leader. Momentous and terrible things were happening on the day that Jim was born. World War II was reaching its peak. The Germans had conquered much of Europe and were deep in Russian territory, but America was not yet involved, and Muncie was far away. 25-year-old Roy Wead, like all men of the cloth during World War II, was excluded from military service. On December 7th, 1941, Japanese forces bombed Pearl Harbor. A few days later, the Weads left for Oklahoma City to celebrate Christmas with Willa and her family. Rosa Mae wrote a note in her diary, "Baby's first Christmas, he sat in his buggy, played with wrapping paper and ribbons." The war was not even mentioned. In the late winter of 1942, the family visited Roy's parents in New Underwood, South Dakota. His enterprising father was now running a service station, a store, and a motel with cabins. Jim played with his cousin, Dolly Ann, while Roy's sisters showed the youngsters how to have fun Dakota style. Within a few months, J.K. Wead Sr., the store owner, would be dead. Roy was stoic about the death of his father. He had a violent temper, and Roy determined to emulate his mother's more mellow spirit. After 3 years in Ohio, Roy accepted the pastorate of Glad Tidings in Muncie, Indiana. He was excited about the prospects, and Rosa Mae held out the hope that Muncie might bring her good luck and the birth of a girl.